So today is going to be no props needed. We're going to be working a lot into the shoulders and working on trying to get off of the wrists to kind of shake things up a little bit, build a lot of strength in our shoulders. So just keep in mind, if you have a lot of tightness in this area, to please be mindful of any of the postures. As a reminder, I am here to help guide you. I am not here to make you do anything that would feel uncomfortable in your body. So if at any point taking a different variation or different modification would feel better to you, please feel free to do so at any time. Go ahead and get started on the floor today, finding a comfortable seated posture in your space. Taking some big, deep centering breaths. Beginning to settle into your space, settle into your body and your breath. Already starting to find subtle engagement by stacking head over heart over hips. Checking in to see, are we pulling back or forward in the hips? There's sometimes this tendency to overcorrect leaning backwards by pulling ourselves too far forward. So instead, find a nice level posture. Pulling up nice and strong through the crown of our head. And taking a few more big, deep breaths. If you would like to set an intention for your practice, please feel free to do so. Intentions allow us to focus our attention, and where attention goes, energy flows. Intentions can be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, or some combination. Wonderful. We'll go ahead and get started for today. Taking a moment, shake out through the body, wiggle out through the arms, through the toes, through the fingers, through the head, neck, shoulders, whatever. Letting your head drop from side to side, finding some gentle motion in the body. I like to find big circles in the chest. That's what I like to do to kind of wake myself up. But you don't have to. You can find any other organic movement that feels good to you. Take about 2 more breaths to finish checking in with your body, finding any areas of tightness as well as areas of relaxation. And you're ready. Meeting back at center. Allow the right hand to come onto left knee. Inhale. Big left hand up high as we bend down, shining the chest and face open towards the sky, getting a nice strong bend in the side body. Big inhale in as we come in towards center. Swap the hands. Inhale, right hand high. Exhale, release. Big inhale as we reach up high. Exhale, release. Whew. Take a twist in the body by first inhaling through center, exhaling towards the right side. Hands will come to rest wherever feels comfortable. Remember, twists come from the core and not from our arms. So letting the arms relax, they'll get plenty of work later. And big inhale, exhale out. Inhale out for center, exhale in towards the twist. Once again, hands come to rest wherever it feels comfortable. Keeping a nice, strong, straight spine. Opening up the chest towards the left side and letting the hands be heavy on the legs or floor. One more big inhale in, and come back into the center. Wonderful. Take it onto your knees, shifting the weight forward and finding your tabletop posture. Already, if you know wrists bother you, coming up onto fists instead, stacking knees underneath the shoulders. Feet are going to ground down into the mat. Big inhale in, shine the chest forward. Exhale, round through the back. Inhale, shine the chest forward, find your cow posture. Exhale, really pull up from in between the shoulder blades, find your cat. Working between these two postures as it feels good to you and in your own time. Take one more big breath. Come back in towards center. Ground down through the left hand. Inhale, right hand up high. Exhale, variation on thread the needle as we keep the chest and chin off the ground by bringing right hand to left shoulder. Kind of twist in the spine as we open up towards the left side. Inhale, right hand up high. Exhale, variation. Inhale, open. Exhale, variation. And relax it down. Ground down through right. Inhale, left hand high. Exhale, variation. Inhale, open. Exhale, release. One more round. Inhale, open. Exhale, release. Slowly release, coming back in towards center. Take a round of cat-cow. And then we're going to send the hips up high, finding down dog. Starting to pedal out through the arches of the feet. Pushing down through our heels. And already starting to find some engagement in the shoulders by trying to hug the ends of our shoulder blades together, kind of down and towards the middle of our spine. See if we can find some activation through the shoulders rather than a stretch. And when you're ready, bend into both knees, look forward, hop or walk your way towards a forward fold. With an inhale, find a halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise, coming all the way up towards standing. Exhale in towards heart center. Wonderful. From here, we'll find a little bit of balancing before we go into our variation on sun salutations for today. So, either practicing on hardwood or tile if it's nearby, but if you're on carpet, that's totally okay. Just understand that carpet may be a little bit harder than a flatter surface. So, beginning to shift the weight into the right leg. Let the left leg float just a little. Claw down through the fingertips, lift up through the heel. Bring hands together, and then placing the leg wherever feels comfortable, perhaps kickstanding the foot, bringing the foot up onto the calf with the left knee pointed out, kind of at a 45 to 90 degree angle, and then option to bring it all the way up onto the thigh. But maybe if we have slippery leggings, then that's not an option for today. Take a big breath. Keep the belly button hugged in towards the rib cage. And then option, bring the arms out to a T before bringing right hand in front, left hand over top, and then perhaps finding eagle arms by either interlacing the thumb and pinky finger or bringing palms to touch. If your balance starts to go away, that's all right. Meet us back in this posture. Try to let the elbows become parallel with the floor and really get a nice stretch through the shoulders. One more big breath here. Keep eagle arms if that's a nice variation for you, or bring hands to heart center as we bring the left leg out in front of us. Exhale. Send the leg out long. Finding warrior 3 with eagle arms or with hands at heart center. Other option is to bring the arms out to a T. Back toes, turn so you can kind of see, can either be grounded into the floor, ever floating, or perhaps coming up towards horizontal as long as our back toes are roughly pointing down towards the floor and hips are nice and level. Take one more big breath. Bend into the front knee, drop the back toes. Set up for a warrior 2 posture in the legs. So hips are going to open up towards the left side, back toes become parallel with the short edge, arms to a T. Option for a little variation on revolved warrior by bringing the left hand behind the back, either placing on low back or reaching towards the right hip as we reach up and over with the right arm, being mindful to keep the bottom half of our body perfectly still. Inhale, come in towards center. Exhale, bring the right hand in front. So it's just going to scrape across the belly as the left hand reaches in front, maybe reaching towards left hip. But ideally, palm will face up towards the sky as we find a variation on extended side angle. Big inhales are coming in towards center. Exhale, find your revolved warrior. Inhale, exhale, find your extended side angle. This time, rotate. Bring both hands down onto the ground. Back foot is going to pivot, so now that we're high on the back toes, sitting up kind of for a runner's lunge posture. Shine the chest forward, get a little stretch into the back hip and into the front hip flexors before bringing back toes to meet front. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise. Exhale, hands to heart center. Shift the weight into the left foot. Let the right foot barely float. Start to find your foundation on this side. When you're ready, transition into the tree pose that would feel best to you. If eagle arms felt good before, arms come to a T. This time, bottom hand will be the left arm and right hand will come on top. Remember, elbows out and away from the face and roughly parallel with the floor. Engage through the belly, really reach down through the toes to find your balance, find your foundation. If you come out of it, that's okay. Meet us when you're available. Take 2 more big breaths here. ready, inhale, bring the leg to the right angle in front of us. Exhale as we send it out and back for warrior 3. We're going to take 4 big breaths here. My arms are going to come to a T this time. Hips level down towards the ground, back toes dial down towards the mat. You can also have the toes just barely floating on the mat as we start to build strength in this posture. 2 more big breaths. Exhale, bend into the front knee, drop the back toes, pivot open through the hips, arms to a T, take a big breath, set up through your warrior 2. One little quote I heard recently that I rather enjoyed was, "We don't have balance, we build it." So sometimes it's a little bit harder to build than others, but that's okay. It's a long, steady process. When you're ready, find a revolved warrior. This time, right hand reaches back along the back body to reach forward towards the left hip. Inhale, left hand up high. Low body remains nice and still. Keep a strong bend in the front knee. Inhale comes in towards center. Exhale, sweep the left hand across the belly to reach the right hand up and over. Big inhale in. Exhale, revolved warrior. Inhale into center. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise. Exhale, revolved. Inhale, rise. Exhale, extended side angle. And exhale, twist it down, pivot on the back foot. Sink through the hips ever so slightly as we shine the chest forward. And then bring back toes to meet the front, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release and hold for just a few moments. Little disclaimer on the sun salutation we're about to do. It is a strong variation on sun salutation. We're going to be working a lot into the shoulders. I'm going to walk us through the sun salutation first, and then we're going to pick up the pace. If a different sun salutation would feel better to you, a different variation works better in your body, please feel free to take it at any time. That's kind of what I have to say on that. Big inhale in. Come up high to the sky, look up in between the fingertips. Exhale, hands to heart center. Alright, let's walk through. I'm going to step back just a little bit from the top of my space so that I have a little bit of forward motion. Is we're going to be working a lot onto our forearms instead of our wrists. So if you have wrist issues, then this may be a wonderful variation for you to take. It's also going to work to really strengthen through our shoulders. And this is a strong variation on sun salutation, so it may look a little different for those of you who have never practiced it before. So when you're ready, inhale, hands up high. Exhale, bend into the knees, carve a line through center, forward fold. Ground down through hands, send one foot back and then the other to meet it. Right from here, replace the right hand with the right elbow. Forearm's going to be parallel with your space. Left hand is replaced with left elbow, coming into a forearm plank. Our forearms are parallel. From here, with an exhale, drop the hips down into the ground. Shine the chest forward. You can flip through the toes. Now elbows will be roughly underneath the shoulders, setting up for Sphinx pose. From here, big inhale. Exhale, release. As we flip through the toes, take a big inhale in. We're going to lift up through the hips to find our forearm plank once again. Wonderful. Start to walk the toes in as we send the hips up high, finding dolphin pose. Same thing as down dog, except our forearms are down on the floor instead of our hands. Forehead does not reach onto the floor, but instead ears and biceps are nice in line with each other. Nice long spine. From here, there's two options for this next transition depending on what feels most comfortable for you and your shoulders. First option is to bend the knees, release them down, come up onto the hands, and then walk the feet in to find your forward fold. Next option is from dolphin, transition into down dog. How to do this? Really ground down through the hands, look up in between the thumbs, and straighten through the arms. You'll be here for just a moment before stepping one foot forward and then the other to meet it. It's kind of a weird down dog, but that's roughly the shape that we're going for in our body. From here, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to grass. And exhale, release. So that is our variation on sun salutation. Now that we've walked through it, we're going to go through it a few more times. We're going to speed it up, but as I mentioned before, if you have a different variation on sun salutation that would feel better to you, feel free to take it. When you're ready, find your Tadasana posture. Stand up nice and tall. Inhale, reach hands up high. Exhale, bending in the knees, carve a line through center, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Ground down through hands, send one foot back and then the other to meet it. Replace the hands with the elbows, coming down onto the ground. Exhale, drop the hips, shine the chest forward. Find your Sphinx pose. Take a breath. Flip through the toes, inhale. Find your plank posture. Walk the feet in with your exhale. Find your way to a forward fold, whatever that means to you. Once there, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise, coming all the way up to standing. Exhale, carve a line through center, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Ground down through hands, send the feet back. Replace hands with elbows. Drop the hips, shine the chest forward. Find your Sphinx. Inhale, find your forearm plank. Walk the toes in towards dolphin. Find your way to a forward fold. And inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise. Exhale, carve a line through center. Ground down through hands, send the feet back. Replace the hands with the elbows. Oh, option here. Come back up onto the hands and drop down in the opposite direction. One more time, come up onto the hands. Drop down onto the elbows. Drop the hips low. Inhale, forearm plank. Walk the hips up high. Make your way into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise. All the way up to standing. Exhale, forward fold. Ground down through hands. Send the feet back. Replace the hands with the elbows. Replace elbows with hands. Replace elbows with hands. Oh, I can't talk. Take one more. Coming down onto the elbows. And send the hips low. Shine the chest forward. Inhale, forearm plank. Come up into dolphin. Make your way into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise. Exhale, forward fold. Ground down through hands. Send the feet back. Drop down under your forearm plank. Drop down through the hips. Shine the chest forward. Inhale. Come up into your forearm plank. Walk the toes in. Come up onto the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise. Exhale to heart center. Whew. Take a breath. That is a wonderful variation to get your heart rate up, to enjoy working through the shoulders and through the forearms more than working into the wrists. Now I'll show you how we can incorporate some nice leg stretches into something similar. I'm gonna catch my breath. All right. Inhale, hands up high. Exhale, release. Ground down through the hands. Send the feet back. Drop down onto the forearms. And shine the chest forward, drop the hips down. Find your Sphinx pose. We'll be here for a little bit, so really start to settle in. Ensure that elbows are nice and shoulder width difference apart. Really drive down through the pubic bone. That's our anchoring point for this whole posture. Hands will come out wide like starfish in front of us. Really push up through the elbows. Imagine you're trying to push your elbows into the ground while pulling your shoulder blades down through the back body. Nice and elevated. From here, let the left hand come towards the right wrist for just a moment. Remove the right wrist as we bend into the right leg. Reach back. Grab either inside or outside of the toes, or reach back towards the toes, leveling out through the hips. Find where you feel a stretch. If you can grab onto the foot, begin to kick back into the hand. You should find a lot of tension through the front pectoral muscles. And you can even start to lift the back knee a little bit to get a little bit more tension and firming through the quads. Try to ground down through the hips rather than opening up wider. So try to return a little bit towards center and check in with the back knee. It has this tendency to like to fall open, but instead pull it into its center. So we're grabbing outside of the foot, maybe a little bit more comfortable than grabbing inside of the foot. And take 2 more big breaths. Slowly release the foot without slingshotting the hand or toes down onto the ground. Come back into its center. Set up for just a moment. Find your foundation point as you bring the right hand over towards the left wrist. Bend into the left knee. Grab either inside or outside of the foot. Or reach back towards the toes, noticing how one side may feel very different than the other. I personally find that I can rotate my chest more forward when my left hand is back versus my right hand. I think that has to do with the fact that I'm right hand dominant and that my right side tends to get a little tighter. Take 2 more big breaths. When you're ready, slowly releasing without slingshotting the foot or hand down towards the ground. Really pull up through the shoulders. Imagine trying to hug a pencil in between the shoulder blades while also pulling them down the back body. Sounds a little weird. Play with it. See where you start to feel some nice activation. Continuing to drive down through the pubic bone. If at any point this starts to get a little intense, walk the elbows out just a little. Still try to maintain engagement, but coming down into a lower Sphinx posture. exhale, release all the way down. Bring the forehead onto the ground or one cheek, yogi's choice. Wonderful. From here, we'll bring the hands to the low back. A few options for you. Hands can either rest on the same side hip. Fists can come to meet in the low back. You can have fingers interlace, or if it feels comfortable enough, palms can come together. I'm personally bringing fists together. That's where I find is comfortable in my shoulders. So when you're ready, big inhale in. We're going to lift up through the pelvic bone. So really try to drive the pelvic bone into the ground as we lift up through the chest. Hands can either remain on the low back or begin to raise up ever so slightly, depending on what's comfortable in our shoulders as we inhale, toes and legs off of the ground as well. So we're pretty much balancing all on our hip points, all on our pubic bone. Exhale, release. Really fun thing you can do here is to really breathe deep into the belly and allow the belly to lift you off of the mat as you drive down through the pubic bone to help preserve the low back. So, big inhale in. Notice how my chest and belly start to come up off of the mat as I feel that inhale, and then I engage through the toes. And exhale. Sink down. Big inhale in. And hold. See, with each inhale, if you can go just a little bit higher. Exhale, building strength. Really opening up through the chest, trying to pinch that pencil in between the shoulder blades. Reaching back through the balls of the feet. And exhale, release. Let the arms go out wide. Cheek or forehead can come down onto the mat. Take a big breath or two. When you're ready, coming back towards center. Hands come roughly underneath the shoulders. Ground down through the knees. Big inhale in. High or low plank, yogi's choice. As you bring the toes together, send the hips back towards the heels. Find child's or devotional pose. Option at this time, if it's in your practice, if you've done this in a studio before, or if you're working on it with a wall nearby, headstand can be, headstand or handstand can be in your practice right now. For those of us who've never attempted it before, or just aren't quite feeling it today, remaining in child's pose for several breaths, and then I'll call us all back together to move on to the back. When you're ready, grounding down through the hands. Let the hips drop to one side. Sweep the legs in front of you. For those of you who are doing head or handstand, there we go. Join us when you're ready. Let the legs come out long in front of us. Inhale, hands up high. Exhale, forward fold. Let the arms rest now. Let the stretch be in the hamstrings. Keep the toes engaged towards the face. Nice, long, activated spine. Think of trying to bring the chest towards the thighs rather than forehead towards the knees. Wonderful. When you're ready, big inhale in. Bend into the knees ever so slightly and start to windshield wiper the legs as you scooch the hips towards the heels. And then lowering onto the back. Flip around so that you can see me a little bit better. There we go. Wonderful. From here, taking a few rounds of bridge pose with the final round option for wheel or for shoulder stand if either are in your practice. But first, bringing heels roughly underneath the knees, hands will ground down on either side of the hips. Walk the shoulder blades in towards each other. Big inhale in as we lift the hips away from the mat. Once we do so, it's important to not turn our neck, so let my voice guide you. No need to watch the video. Inhaling, lifting hips, if they haven't already. Gaze is up high towards the sky. Imagine trying to pull the heels in towards the hips to find a strong bridge posture. Taking 2 more big breaths. And slowly lowering down through the hips, all the way to the ground. Wonderful. From here, take a big breath. Let soles of the feet come together, hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Take a moment to think of 3 things that you're grateful for. Wonderful. Setting back up for bridge, let soles of the feet come onto the floor, ankles stack underneath knees, hands on either side of the hips. Big inhale in, lift the hips towards the sky. Walk the shoulder blades in a little bit more. See if you feel comfortable to let hands come to interlace underneath the hips. If not, keep the hands out wide. Try and pull up through the hips, trying to bring the chest towards the chin, not the chin towards the chest. Still finding length in the back of the neck. Gaze as high towards the sky. Take 1 more big breath. Exhale, lower down onto the belly. Let soles of the feet come to meet. 1 hand on the heart, 1 hand on the belly. Take a moment to think of 3 things that put a smile on your face recently. Wonderful. When you're ready, set up for another round of bridge pose, or if wheel or shoulder stand is in your practice, and you're in a comfortable, safe place to be able to do so, feel free to incorporate them. I'm going to try wheel today by bringing hands to the outside of my ears so that my fingertips are pointed towards my hips. Everything else about bridge is the same, except I'm going to straighten through the arms. Big inhale in. And lower down the way you came. If you're in bridge or shoulder stand, would like to take a few more breaths, feel free. Otherwise, meeting me with soles of the feet coming together or legs out long. Find your Shavasana position. Shavasana is probably the most important part of our practice. It's a time to return to yourself, to return to the body, return back to our breath, our intentions. And to simply have no other responsibilities than to simply be present. When you're ready, introducing a little bit of movement back into the body, wiggling through toes, wiggling through fingers. Perhaps letting the feet go out long, reaching hands up high, finding a full body stretch. Before rolling over onto our right side. Take a big breath of support and surrender. We're pushing up into a seated posture. From here, let hands come together like we're clapping and thumbs reach in between the eyebrows or third eye. Just set the gentle intention, kind thoughts for yourself and others. Bring thumbs to the lips to set the intention for kind words for yourself and others. And finally, bring hands to the heart space to set the gentle intention of kind actions for yourself and others. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.